Last year, Elon Musk steamrolled into Twitter and fired 80% of the workforce and shocked the entire tech sector. Fast forward to today, and Twitter's running just fine. Okay, it's called X now, but the point still stands that one of the world's largest social media companies is operating with just 20% of its original workforce. How is that possible? Well, this is a prime example of the 80-20 principle in action. The 80-20 principle states that 20% of the people in an organization generate 80% of the value. This can be even more extreme, but in the case of Twitter, the majority of people working there were not software engineers, data scientists, that sort of thing. They were working in management, marketing, policy, strategy. And so, from a technological perspective, they weren't actually essential to the day-to-day running of Twitter. As time goes on, organizations inevitably swell to an unmanageable size. Productivity falls, and most of the company's expenditure is being spent on salaries. This disproportionate imbalance can be found in all aspects of life, to an even more extreme extent. A minority of people have the majority of wealth. A minority of people commit the majority of crime. A minority of books account for the majority of sales, etc. Pretty much any category you can imagine, there is an overachiever who accounts for more output than everyone else. There are certain actions you can take to obtain results entirely disproportionate to your input. Not everything you do deserves your equal attention, and the ability to distinguish between what is effective and what is efficient will allow you to distinguish the signal from the noise. So here are 5 ways to implement the 80-20 principle to obtain disproportionate results. Number 1. Skills. Knowledge is power, but not all knowledge is equal. Not all aspects of a skill are as important as others. There are certain key fundamentals which, once understood, will expand your knowledge to the greatest extent. Focus on learning overarching principles as opposed to specific knowledge, and you'll find you're able to apply this knowledge further as you go along. Let's say you want to learn Spanish. The Spanish word for reservation is reservación. That's specific knowledge. However, if you learn that almost all words in English that end in ion, with the exception of some variation in the stem, the Spanish equivalent will end in ción. You've just learned several thousand new words in Spanish versus learning one. Equally, not all words are used with the same frequency. Humans are creatures of habit, and we actually use the same words every day. So much so that depending on the language, the 100 most commonly used words account for 80% of all spoken words. So instead of trying to go through the dictionary cover to cover, try focusing on high frequency words to launch your learning, because these are the words you're going to use all the time. Number 2. Focus on the basics before trying to optimize. If you're starting off at the gym, don't worry about which exercise is best for optimizing bicep growth. The biggest gains you're going to get are from compound exercises such as squat, deadlift, and bench press. Work on these 3 and you will gain muscle mass. Instead of changing what supplement you're on every month, don't even bother looking at creatine or amino acids if you're not going to get enough sleep or eat well. If you're an elite athlete and the difference between beating your competitor is a fraction of a second, then sure, buying the right trainers might make the difference between first and second place. But let's stop kidding ourselves here. That's not most of us. Trying to optimize on something that will give us a 0.1% advantage before we've taken care of the stuff that will give us a 30% advantage is a waste of effort. Number 3. Essentialism. Okay, so I was going to use the phrase minimalism here, but there's a lot of connotations about that, and I don't want you guys to start thinking about black t-shirts, MacBooks, Japanese gardens, and making overpriced coffee in the test tube. So I'm going to use the phrase essentialism here to say that simplifying your life can have many benefits. You may find that a minority of clothes in your wardrobe are the ones you wear the majority of the time. So if that's the case, why not free up some clutter and get rid of the clothes you've not worn in the past 6 months? You can repeat this process with any possessions that you have that you no longer use or have a need for, and actually clearing out that space so you live in a clean and tidy environment is so much better for your productivity in the long run. Number 4. Energy. Evaluate what activities you spend your time doing every week and with whom. Ask yourself how you feel after. Do you feel energized or drained? Do you feel happy or stressed? What activities are you doing right now that are accounting for the majority of the stress in your life? Review how you can change your life to maximize the positive elements and minimize the negative. Sure, some things may be an easy fix, and others you won't be able to change, but you might still be able to mitigate them. If you can't stand your commute to work, but you're not yet in a position to move house or change your job, maybe you can take a more scenic route rather than the most efficient way. Enjoy a little bit of nature rather than the motorway. Time spent with loved ones and friends frequently top happiness surveys in terms of what gives the biggest impact to someone's happiness. So set some time aside to meet up with people who are important to you. You'll feel so much better for it. On the other hand, one of the biggest contributors to unhappiness is waiting in queues. If you know you're the kind of person that gets pissed off at waiting in queues at the supermarket, then go at a time when it's less busy, or order groceries online. Sometimes a specific circumstance is beyond our control, but there's usually a mitigating factor. Number 5. Finances. Now, I've gone after Starbucks a few times in my videos now, so it might seem like I have a grudge against them, but I actually love coffee shops, and if it's something you enjoy and value that enjoyment more than the money you would save from not doing it, then go for it. In the last video, I mentioned the latte effect, and how small aggregated expenses can lead to large amounts in the future, but there are larger amounts of money which would impact your finances even more. These are known as the big three: housing, transport, and food. Renegotiating your mortgage might seem like pissing in the wind when you owe several $100,000, but even a small percentage change in interest rates could save you thousands every year. The same goes for moving to a place with lower rent. As for transport, downsizing your car to something with lower running costs, or buying some sort of discount card for cheaper public transport will significantly lower your expenditure. Cooking your own food the majority of the time is much cheaper than eating out, and shopping at discount supermarkets will save a lot more money as well. Optimize your savings on the big three before looking at where else to save money. So there we have it. 5 ways to implement the 80-20 principle in your life and obtain disproportionate results. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please hit the subscribe button. See you soon.